We don't usually think about the authority wound when it comes to friendships. Friendships are supposed to be easy. They're supposed to feel equal and relaxed and mutual. But if you've ever felt like you can't fully be yourself in a friendship, or you struggle to speak up, or certain group dynamics leave you feeling uncomfortable, there may actually be an authority pattern underneath that. In this series, I've been talking about how the authority wound, which is deeply connected to the Saturn archetype, shows up in different types of relationship dynamics. And today, I'm exploring how it shows up in friendships and group dynamics. Because even relationships that are meant to feel equal and easy, subtle patterns of power and influence and voice can still show up. Remember, the authority wound forms through early experiences with authority, often through parents or other authority figures. And those experiences shape how we relate to others and how we relate to being heard or being respected, how we feel comfortable or not taking the lead in a situation or a relationship, or simply just authentically expressing ourselves. So when we enter friendships or group settings, we don't just show up as ourselves, we also bring that imprint and the relationship with authority. There are a few common ways this can show up. Number one, the dominant friend dynamic. You know the ones. In some friendships, one person naturally takes the lead. They can make all the plans, they set the tone of the time. Sometimes this can feel easy and natural, but other times it can create this imbalance where one person's voice carries more weight than all the others. And if someone has an authority wound around not being heard, they'll probably go along with things that they don't really want to. And two is the approval-seeking pattern. So this is when someone feels like they need to maintain harmony in order to keep the friendship. So they might avoid disagreements or say yes when they mean no, or feel uncomfortable expressing their true thoughts or feelings about something. And underneath this is our fear of losing connection or being rejected. But over time, it leads to feeling unseen and disconnected within the friendship anyway. And three is the withdrawal or that quiet resistance pattern. So sometimes instead of speaking up, someone just pulls back. They're more withdrawn from conversations, or they become less engaged. And that distance, they create a distance without fully expressing why. This can happen when expressing their truth doesn't really feel safe. So instead of confronting the dynamic, they just step away from it. And then four is group dynamics and unspoken roles. This becomes even more visible in group settings. In group settings, you'll often see where, there's always one person who's running the show, or one who challenges things. There's a quiet one, and this is usually observable. And these roles aren't just random. Sometimes they're not even conscious to the individual, but they're connected to each person's relationship with authority. So some people feel comfortable leading, and some people feel more comfortable supporting. And some may feel unsure where they belong. I've definitely experienced and witnessed this in dynamics and friendships and groups in the past. So as an Aquarius sun, I often was the one who would bring together friends who didn't really get along. I would witness clashes in their connection. And now reflecting back, I could totally see how the origin of their struggles to get along was coming from a little quiet inner authority wound. Not feeling safe to speak up, or comfortable being themselves, or honest, or even capable of sharing space sometimes. What's important to understand is that these patterns are not about good or bad friendships. They're about awareness, because friendships are one of those spaces where we practice using our voice, holding boundaries, and relating to others as equals. And if there's an imbalance in how we experience authority within ourselves, it's naturally going to show up here too. This is where Saturn's teaching becomes so valuable. Saturn is not just about external authority. It's about developing inner authority, the ability to trust your voice, express your perspective, make aligned choices for yourself, no matter what the situation, and stand in your truth, even in connections with others who might disagree. When you begin developing inner authority, your friendships begin to shift. Not because you're controlling others, but because you're going to show up differently. Here are a few things you might reflect on if this is resonating with you. Do I feel comfortable expressing my true thoughts in my friendships? Do I tend to go along with others to keep the peace? Do I hold my voice back in group settings? Or do I feel my presence carries equal value as everyone else I'm in a group with? Healthy friendships are not about everyone agreeing all the time. That's not realistic. They're about mutual respect and space for different perspectives and the ability for each person to show up as themselves without needing to shrink or control or seek approval. Friendships may not come with formal roles of authority, but they still reveal how we relate to power and voice and self-trust. And when we begin to understand our own authority patterns, we gain the ability to show up more fully in these relationships, more honestly and more grounded and more ourselves. And as I've explored throughout this series, the authority wound doesn't just show up in one area of life or one type of relationship. It weaves through our partnerships, parenting, our work, and even our friendships. You can go back and listen to the videos I've done already if you've missed them, as well as I did an entire Saturn series around the father wound and building inner authority through the archetypes. But the thread that connects all of this is our relationship with inner authority. And that's the work Saturn invites us into, learning how to lead with integrity, responsibility, and trust. If this is resonating and you want to explore this work more through your own Saturn placement and the patterns it reveals in your life, I'll continue sharing more insights on this as well. But feel free, if you want guidance, to reach out. I'm happy to support you. You can book a reading at nurturingastrology.com. But for now, take care, friends, and keep nurturing your astrology.